Morning, everybody. Welcome to the Mohawk Valley Sportswatch podcast. In just a little bit, we got Coach Medicis. We're going to have the whole crew on here this morning. I'm excited for that. First time in a while, we got everybody back on. We're going to talk some Caitlin Clark. We'll talk some NBA. We'll talk some Yankees. We're going to talk a lot today. This is probably the first show where we really don't have any interviews on here this morning. So I'm excited to just talk some sports with the guys. So stay tuned. We're going to get them on, and we're going to get right at it. Let's see if we can get Coach on. There we go. We got you.
What's up, Brock?
Can you hear me this morning?
I can hear you.
You know, I always say that when the stat man would joke and say we're guest heavy. Let's see. I think we got somebody else on. Let's see. Oh, it's Pags. Let's see. Geez, what are you in, like a nightclub?
It's too dark?
Let's see it. Can you hear us? I don't know. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
It does look like a nightclub.
Yeah, you look like you're in a nightclub today.
Nice. Can you hear me or no?
Club Pags.
It's all good. Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. What's going on, Coleman?
But Nick, I was saying that when he would say we're guest heavy, it's nice to be able sometimes just sit and talk sports.
Agreed.
You know, it's been a while. So
yeah.
So Nick, you've been following. You guys, I'm sure, have been following. I catch myself nights now going on Score Mobile on my phone and clicking on WNBA just to see what Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and some of those ladies have been doing. I've watched a couple of the games. I said this last week. I don't know if you guys heard me say it or not, but I kind of think the WNBA, Nick, with the schedule that they gave her, she opened up against the two toughest teams in the league, two of the better defensive teams, in the league. And I think people just thought she was going to step on the court and she was going to get 20 a game, like it was going to be really easy for her. Were you surprised at her slow start?
No, I mean, she's a rookie. I mean, if you look at what Victor Wembanyama did this year to start the year, he struggled at first also. It took him a while to get going. And you got to remember, she's 22-year-old woman going up against grown women that have been doing this professionally for years. So the expectations that she was going to come in and drop 30 and 40 points like she was in the tournament are just unrealistic. I think for a rookie, she's having a great start to the year.
Pags, what do you think? You've been watching any of it?
I agree. I think, the expectations were so high that, she was just dominating in college. But you see it in the NBA all the time. I mean, these guys come in. It takes a while for them to adjust. You're not going to just go in and put up the numbers you were in college. I think she's going to do great things for the WNBA. I think it's going to take her a little time to settle in. But like Nick said, and I think I remember who it was. One of the WNBA players said, when she first came in, she's coming in and she's coming in and she's playing against grown women who've been doing this for a while. So I think it's going to take her a little while to adjust, but she's going to kill it in the WNBA. She's a great player. She'll do just fine. I think you just can't expect for someone to just walk in and just put up the numbers that you expect her to see that she had in college. So,
yeah, I mean, I think she proves obviously she can be there, right? She can play there. She's still going to get her shot off. I think the physicality part of the game, I think the league's coming for her, right? I think it's unfair, but every time she goes to the basket, they show these, the hard fouls. I think the turnovers, Nick, I mean, I'm sure going from college to the NBA, some of those passes that she made in college in the WNBA, it looks like she's not able to make. Maybe it's just timing, right? Maybe she's just got to get a feel for her players. But I was a little surprised at the turnovers for her to start the season.
Well, I mean, the draft was when, 2 months ago. So she had 2 months to kind of speed everything up and basically be ready to go. Again, I think it's an adjustment period. Everybody's bigger, faster, stronger. This is their what they do for a living. So it's not like they're going to class and you don't know how much time in college teams are spending on film and breakdowns and this is their life. This is their livelihood. So they're spending all day trying to figure out, what to do, what her strengths are, what her weaknesses are. So this is what pro basketball is. And like I said, I think she's off to a good start. The turnovers, there's a lot of things that she got away with just because she was so much smarter than everyone else. I think that got overlooked in college. She read the game. Her IQ was really high, and she saw things that other people didn't see. But now she's going up against other pros that, can make that read, and there's going to be an adjustment period.
Well, the team's terrible. Is it setting up for the head coach to get fired and Caitlin Clark's college coach to get that job? Is that going to happen?
I mean, I didn't look at it like that, but I guess it could happen that way.
Yeah,
I'm not sure,
I didn't think of that either, Rock. That's a good point. I mean, that would be interesting to see, an interesting change. But going back to what you were saying about the turnovers, I agree with kind of what Nick's saying. I think the game, she was the elite athlete, the elite superstar in college, and on any team that she was going to play on, she was elite. Now she's facing other players that are elite, and I think the game is faster. So I think that's where the turnovers are coming. And I think she also is trying to make things happen. I mean, she's trying to force things and make things happen on a team that might not be as talented as the other. Obviously, they're not as talented as the other WNBA teams. So she's forcing things, and that's where the turnovers are coming.
I catch myself, though, like every night. Like last night, I think I pulled up to see that. What's her name there? Brink.
Yep.
Cam
Oh,
Brink.
She's my player, man.
I like Kate Martin, the other girl from Iowa. She's on the Aces, and I was listening to Becky Hammond, and it's like she's one of those girls that, just goes out, plays hard, gives it 110%, good team player, does all the things you don't want to, you don't – she does all the dirty work, right?
Yeah.
And I was watching a little bit of her last night. I'm anxious to see that the other girl from South Carolina, Cardozo, when she comes back, because I think she's going to be the best one of all of them right away.
I don't think she's built for that.
I think she's going to be a monster inside.
I think she'll be a decent, like above average big, but I mean, she'll be going up against girls her size for really the first time in her career.
What?
Yeah, I think she's going to be a beast, though.
How awesome is it that we're tuning in, watching WNBA, talking in WNBA, following the WNBA? I think that alone says so much about what Caitlin Clark has done for this game. I mean, we knew. I mean, we're sports guys and we follow all kind of sports, and we always kind of kept an eye on the women's game a little bit during the tournament and stuff, but not like we are now tuned in. And this is exactly what they needed. They needed somebody who would attention, and they've done it. And I think the WNBA is on the way up.
Well, how about these arenas? I mean, they're not even playing at their normal arenas. They're moving these games to bigger arenas where they're playing in front of 19,000, 25,000 people. And when you watch these girls come out, it's packed.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could go to a WNBA game for practically nothing. And that's priority.
Right.
But I mean, you could have went to these games for the cost of who knows. Like, I mean, it was cheap. I know it was real cheap. You could have went to the and watched the Liberty play for practically nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I've caught myself this year so far watching a lot more WNBA than I thought I was going to watch. But the draft class that came out with Caitlin Clark too, though. It's probably one of the best draft classes that they've had in a long time.
Well, I think it's exactly that, Rock. It's not just Caitlin Clark. It's Angel Reese. It's Cardoso. It's Brink. There's a lot of them. Like Kate Martin was just there to support Caitlin Clark. She gets drafted in the second round, and now she's a key role player on, arguably the best team in the league. So, yeah, there's definitely some depth to it. I just think it's a cool thing what's going on, and to have us sit up here and talk WNBA to start things off, is pretty cool. It's something that we definitely, you can say what you want, how we followed it before and watched it before or tuned in. We would never spend 10
No.
minutes talking about it. And let's be real. So I just think that's the effect of what Caitlin Clark is bringing to this league. And again, she doesn't have to go out and score 30. It's the attention that she brought so that, not just little girls, but, everybody can watch and appreciate it. And, you might watch her and to see if she's making logo threes, but then all of a sudden you realize that, Kelsey Plum is a really good shooter and plays really well, or Asia Wilson is a stud and, can play. So I think it's just her bringing the attention so that people watch, and then you're watching and saying, wow, this is actually really good basketball.
Statman, we've been talking women's basketball for 10 minutes already.
Wow.
Would you ever think we'd be talking women's hoops?
Well, yeah, I think so. I could see us doing it, but yeah, 10 minutes of the first of the show. I didn't know it would go that long. But there's a lot to talk about.
Nick, I almost think though they're kind of like when you turn on ESPN and you watch all these commentators talking about, the women's game. Obviously, they're talking the impact Caitlin Clark's had. And then it still seems like you're always going to have the haters towards her, that all these girls are coming after her. You can see it in these games. But if I'm one of these other girls in the league, I'm almost thanking Caitlin Clark, because without Caitlin Clark this year, I'm not sure the women's game's as big as it is today without her.
I think you're silently thanking her, but you're still saying what you need to say in front of the media, in front of the camera. I mean, there's a lot of people that aren't happy with the treatment that she gets. The difference in her team's flights as opposed to other people that have been around. But there was an interview yesterday with Becky Hammon, and she said, she had been in part of the league since 1999, and just the attention that she has brought alone and bringing eyes to the sport and being able to watch and, put them in a different platform has just been amazing for the league. And, the thing is once you watch, you want to watch more. And so her getting them in the door and opening up eyes has just been so good for the WNBA.
Yeah. I think, part of the thing with the other girls is like, we've been here all these years. They've been trailblazers too. And I think part of it is, you have this one girl who comes in here and kind of comes with all the attention. There's probably a little bit, I don't want to say animosity, but there's probably a little bit of that. Who does this girl think she is? We'll show her that we've been here before and this is it. But you can't deny what she's done. I mean, she's brought something else, that eyes on the game. I mean, and the other girls before her.
You guys been watching a lot of the.
I mean, when she came in.
You guys been watching a lot of the NBA playoffs? Pags is a little cutting up.
Yeah.
His Pags, I think you might be on a little bit of a delay.
Oh, okay.
But
that's what happens when you come live from the club.
You've been watching a lot of the NBA?
I'd be lying if I said yes. I mean, outside of when the Knicks were playing,
yeah.
I mean, we've been saying it for years. The NBA is always better when the Knicks are doing well. I've tuned in sparingly, but I haven't changed my schedule around to make sure that I'm watching the Dallas Minnesota game at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I didn't miss one of the Knicks games though. I watched every Knicks games, and it's too bad because if the Knicks were healthy, if they did have a Julius Randle that was healthy, I think they win that series. And I think the Knicks would have been a hell of a series. Great for TV, great for ratings. I think Boston's had the easiest path. I think they've beaten teams that have been injury prone. I think, the expectations for them are going to be, they were supposed to get here again, with the team that they have. I think it's the best team that they've had. I don't know if they can beat either one of the teams from the West, though. I really don't. I don't think they can beat Dallas, and I don't think they can beat Minnesota.
Well, I think Boston's, on cruise control right now. And, if Minnesota makes that Western Conference Final Series more than a 4 or 5 game series, Boston's going to be well rested and might be sitting on a week week off before that that NBA Finals starts up. Indiana, Albert not playing definitely hurt, but yeah, Boston's on cruise control right now in the East, and I don't know. I think it's a toss-up at this point. I would say before the playoffs started that I wouldn't be surprised if Boston won the whole thing. And then the way that Anthony Edwards came out against Denver, that kind of opened some eyes up to how good Minnesota can be. And then you watch Dallas jump out 2-0 on them in this series, and it's like, man, Dallas is really good too. So I just think it's wide open at this point.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Luka and Kyrie. I think Dallas has played really well. I think Jason Kidd's coached his ass off in these playoffs. I think, whether people like Jason Kidd or not, if you've watched actually the last couple series with Dallas, I think he's out coached. I think he's done his best coaching job in the NBA. But man, I'll tell you, Luka and Kyrie together in that backcourt, they have both been sensational this entire NBA playoff.
Well, and going back to when Kyrie got traded there, ended up in Dallas, everybody talked about how that would never work because Kyrie's ball dominant and Luka's ball dominant, and the way they've been able to share the basketball and share responsibilities and kind of play off each other. I mean, they're two of the better guards, better players in the NBA, and to have them on the same page is scary.
You think if Kyrie and Luka win this thing, you think the people are going to because I know Kyrie gets a lot of bad rap in the NBA, but I think if they win this one with Dallas, with him and Luka, you think that kind of changes a little bit? Because I think he's been okay this year. I haven't really heard too much. Now, granted, Nick, I haven't really followed it as closely as I would college basketball, but I feel like he's kind of been under the radar. I mean, everybody knows he's one of the better players in the league, but as far as like a good teammate, I feel like something changed for Dallas midway through the year, and I don't know what happened, but he's just, to me, looks like a different player.
Well, I think he gets a bad rap because he's very outspoken on things, and he's not afraid to speak his mind, and it's not always the same viewpoint that the majority thinks. So, whether it's, the world being flat or some of the other statements he's made, that changes the opinion on a lot of people. But yeah, he's been awfully quiet this year, and he's kind of let his game do the talking, and he's always been a very good player. But he's always had the rap that he, played on really good teams, and he can never, outside of playing with LeBron, he can never kind of do it on his own. So I think I'm happy for him that, him and Luka are on the same page, and I'm a big fan of Luka, so I love the way he plays. He's so fundamentally sound. He's so fun to watch. So I think it's pretty cool that Kyrie is ball dominant, and as he is able to get on the same page, and when they do, they win games as they've been doing so far.
You know who's been an absolute genius, and I knew he would because he's smart. I wanted to see Brad Stevens back in college so bad. I wanted to win, whether it was Duke, one of those big jobs. I still think at some point he comes back and coaches, but he's been an absolute genius since he's taken over the GM roles for the Celtics.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's always been that smart, analytical, coach, and now it's transitioning into GM, and it's team building. It's not superstar collecting. It's team building and putting the right pieces along with the right coach, which again, goes back to him as a coach. He always made the right decisions, and he always was quiet about it. He did it the right way, did it the professional way. So not surprised at all.
Statman, what's going on with Syracuse lacrosse? The men are done, right? Are they both done?
Oh, sore subject.
The men are done. I know that. I believe what about the women? I haven't really followed that.
The women lost on Friday night to Boston College. Their arch nemesis for the third time this year.
So another Memorial Day weekend with no Syracuse in the Final Four?
Yep, afraid so. But I don't know. This year's team did show a lot, I think. Even the games they lost, all their games were no more than a 2-point loss. So, I mean, that was a huge step forward from the days of when they would lose these games by 12 goals under Desco and in the first quarter gate. But, I mean, I see this team is moving in the right direction, and I think that they could make the Final Four next year.
My cousin sent me a message yesterday, and this is I was loving it because he says, "Do you know what's coming up?" And I said, "What's coming up?"
The hot
And he
dog
says, "Coney Island." He goes, "Rock." He goes, "I've been listening to your replays for probably the last 10 years." And he says, "I can't wait till you guys talk Coney Island pretty soon." And I said, "Well, I'm going to have George Shea on one more time. And we're going to say we should go down there for it." But again, after talking to my cousin Kevin's like, "You don't want to go there." He goes, "It's so busy. It's so packed. It's disgusting." And I'm like, "But if you're backstage, who cares?"
Exactly.
So it's pretty cool. He messaged me. He goes, "I can't wait for Coney Island. I can't wait to listen to you guys, talk that." Who do you guys like if it's Boston and Dallas? I mean, I thought Indiana last night. We were at the casino and I was kind of watching some of the game, and I'm like, well, Indiana's going to win this one. And then I turn it on and I'm like, holy shit, Boston came back and won that game last night. So they're up 3-0. Dallas is going home up 2-0. It looks like it's going to be Boston against Dallas. Who would you guys favor?
Well, first of all, that series that won Indiana. They've had 2 games that they just let go. I mean, in the bank, and they lost those games. But I think the team to beat is Dallas. I don't think anybody out of the West, really. I think even if Dallas doesn't come out of the West at Boston, I think Boston has an easier road in the East right now. But I think Dallas series now, and then they're gonna whoever they play in the finals. Right? I think Boston will give them a fight, but I don't think they're gonna beat them.
Nick, can Boston beat Dallas or Minnesota?
Boston can beat both teams, but the way they're playing, I'm kind of with Pags. I mean, Rick Carlisle has his guys foul up 3 late. Indiana probably steals game 1. And then, last night's game, we're up big and kind of blow a lead. I mean, you could easily be saying that Indiana should be up 2-1 right now, but Boston's 3-0 and, about to sweep the series. So, Boston's good enough to beat them, but right now they're not playing very well. And I'd argue that both teams in the West are playing much better basketball.
Yeah, I would agree. I do think, though, this is Boston's best chance to win a title. I think their big four are playing as good as they've played all year. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, with them. I just want to go through. There was some high school baseball and softball. We do have some local teams that are still playing. These are the baseball scores from yesterday. Lowville beat Phoenix in the Class B semifinals 5-4. Pulaski beat West Canada Valley in the Class C semis 2-1. Little Falls beat Clinton in the Class B semis 9-0. Mount Markham beat Bishop Ludden in the C semis 3-2. Camden beat CVA in the semifinals for Class A 6-1. Lyme beat Belleville Henderson 3-1 in the Class D. Jamesville DeWitt beat West Hill in the Class A 12-6. Oriskany 14-3 winners over Poland. So that will set up. There's 2 games today. Whitesboro will play West Jenny. That's the Class AA Section 3 championship game. That's at 3 o'clock. And then CBA CNS will play at 6. That is the AAA game. And then Monday, we will have Lyme and Oriskany in the Class D finals. Little Falls, Lowville in the B, and then Camden and Jamesville DeWitt will play as well. And then on the girls' side, we do have some local teams going on the girls. Camden, Jamesville DeWitt. Camden won 4-3. So that was the semifinals game of Class A. Pags, Utica Notre Dame girls, they beat Salve 6-0, so they'll be on to the finals. Marcellus beat Kaz 10-2. Cincinnati beat Oriskany 11-1. Sackett's Harbor beat Stockbridge Valley 2-1. And New Hartford beat Chittenango 6-2. There are some games today. Port Byron, Sandy Creek. Statman, as we always say, Sandy Creek, where seasons go to die. Cato Meridian beat AP or will play APW. FM will play Whitesboro, and then Auburn will play West Jenny. Those games are all slated for today. And Utica Notre Dame will play Tuesday in the championship game against Marcellus, and Camden will play New Hartford in the Class A championship game as well. So good to see some local teams still at it. Our Little League season's coming to a close here over the next 2 weeks. We have, I think the last regular season games are next week, and then we'll start the playoffs. And then we'll get an All-Stars, and then before you know it, we'll be talking some college football in the summertime. I can't wait. Did you guys see my top 8?
I did.
Yes, we saw your biased top 8. Yes, we did.
His biased top 8.
Big Ten, SEC.
There's other teams outside
Syracuse
of the
didn't
Big
make the
Ten
cut.
and the SEC.
Nope. Syracuse is honorable mention.
Yeah, along with 40 other teams. Beautiful, beautifully done.
Well, you guys got to be loving life with all the hype with Syracuse this year and the transfer portal, the recruiting. You couldn't have asked for a better offseason than what Syracuse got.
Yeah, I think what Fran Brown has done in the short time that he's the head coach. If you were to ask me or Statman, I don't want to speak for you, but I'm going to here. If you would ask either of us when they hired the coach, hey, what's the best case scenario? This is way beyond what our expectations were. To bring in 4-star recruits and big name guys and, to bring in a starting quarterback like Kyle McCord to take the reins year one and kind of set the culture of the Fran Brown era for the next, 10 or so years, if things kind of play out the way we hope they do. It's exciting. I know there's really high expectations based on a weaker conference schedule, but in reality, just want to see competitive football, football that puts us on par with those above average teams in the ACC and kind of let him build from there. And, if he's this recruiter that, he has been in year one and they're able to win in year one, it's just exciting to see the future. I mean, listen, we've talked Syracuse football and we've been excited before, and Orange is the new fast and all these other slogans and stuff. But, this guy looks you in the eyes and tells you what he thinks. And, I've bought in. I assume Statman has bought in. There's excitement around Syracuse football that, hasn't been there in a while. He's got the alumni backing him 100%. So, it's an exciting time for Syracuse football. I'm not putting us on par with Michigan and Ohio State and all those guys, but it's just good to be, excited for, the future and not excited for, I hope we can make a bowl this year.
And it's
exciting.
I mean, even me.
As far as the recruiting goes, it's nice to see that we're actually not just having a sniff at maybe one 4-star recruit. There's several on this roster now that he has brought in, and I'm just amazed at what he's been able to do, considering how even with the success that Babers had with that 10-win season, we never really saw any type of significant recruiting bump from that. We just stayed at towards the bottom basement of the ACC in recruiting all those years, and despite whatever the things that he would say, nothing ever got better. But now, I mean, I was expecting maybe with Fran Brown coming in, maybe a couple spot jump maybe in recruiting, not to get into the top 20 like I've seen in some recruiting services that they've had his most recent class at. So, I mean, it's amazing what he's been able to do, and my excitement level is sky high. I can't wait to go to that first game. I'm planning on getting tickets and being there to see his first game of the season.
Pegs, you were going to say
I was going to say, it is exciting, these players, and like you said, Nick, they should be competitive this year. They should be the talent that they have. So it's exciting to see the players that he's able to get, and just he's going to have these guys ready to play. So I think Syracuse will be in every game. I think, and if they're as good as we think they are, they should have a good season.
So when we go to do our picks, 6-6 would be a big disappointment for Syracuse. The schedule stinks.
I was going to say, based on the schedule, I
They
think
should go 9-3, 10-2 with that schedule. It's terrible.
Agree.
Fran Brown is playing NCAA football on Xbox right now. And now that game's coming back, I'm excited.
I can't wait. I did look at the schedule, but I'll say this is when I get on Twitter now every night, all I see is this recruit or this guy coming to Syracuse. And I mean, let's be honest. In the years past, you would never see some of these kids coming to Syracuse. Never. And to see these guys coming. But now the challenge for Fran Brown's going to be you got hired because you're a recruiter. Now you got to go coach. So now I want to see what the coaching staff does. We know they got some of the best recruiters, right? They got what? 3 of the top 10 recruiters in the country, which is fantastic.
Yep.
So I think the buzz is there. I think they got to get out to a really good start. Like we say every year, you got to win those games, those non-conference games. But again, I looked at the schedule. I realistically could see them win 9 or 10 games. And I know people are going to say I'm crazy. You could possibly be talking Syracuse in the ACC title game or the playoffs.
Playoffs.
Which is crazy. Nick, you'll go crazy if that happens.
Yeah, I'll definitely go crazy if that happens.
But I think it's realistic.
God, it's an excitement about what's going on with the program. A lot of it's because of the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen. You know, this thing could crash and burn. Just because there's so many new players coming in. I mean, check what happened at Colorado where the hype, you know, we were all realistic before the year. They weren't winning a national title, but, you know, they won a couple games early on. You thought, you know, Dion was on his way to passing Saban and Belichick as the greatest coach to ever live. And then reality kind of set in. So, I'm excited, but, you know, I'm also realistic and know this is a process. And although, you know, McCord's only here for 1 year, you know, the Fran Brown era is going to be judged on what he does, not in 1 year, but in 3 or 4 years, and how sustainable it is and the growth of the program. Because we were fooled once. You know, Dino took Scott Schaefer's guys and won 10 games and rode Eric Dungy to, you know, I remember at one time on this show, we were talking about Dino Babers as a candidate to replace Jim Harbaugh at Michigan.
Oh, I do remember.
So,
yep.
I mean, he wrote the coattails of previous coaches' players, and the program never got better. So, you know, fool me once, shame on me. I'm not going to be fooled again. I want to see consistency over a couple of years.
Yeah, speaking of Michigan, it made me sick because I was reading a couple articles that they said Harbaugh really wanted to stay and didn't want to leave. And Ward Manuel, the AD, there were some runnings that he had with Jim Harbaugh. So I was really disappointed to see that. I think Michigan's schedule is brutal. You know, they got to play Oregon, they got to play USC, Ohio State. If Ohio State, and I don't want to turn this into college football, but if Ohio State does not win a national championship this year and Ryan Day doesn't beat Michigan this year, I heard a crazy bluebird told me that there's a really good chance Dabo Swinney is the next head coach at Ohio State. If Ryan Day doesn't beat Michigan this year and if he doesn't win a national title, his roster is ridiculous. By far the best roster in college football, and their schedule stinks.
You know, Michigan wins a national title, you know they're going to be a little weaker. So let's kind of take the pressure off Michigan to beat Ohio State. Let's hype Ohio State up in the offseason, make them look unbeatable. So if Michigan doesn't beat them, it's, oh, you know, they were just unstoppable this year.
Yep. I can't wait for it. Michigan's going to be okay. I mean, listen, you can go 8-4 and make the playoffs. You know what I mean? You don't have to go 10-2, 11-1 anymore with this playoff system. So, you know, Oregon's going to be really good in the Big Ten. Ohio State's going to be really good. Penn State's going to be really good. Michigan's still going to be pretty good. I mean, they're not going to have a year where they go 7-5. So I think the Big Ten is going to be really good, but I just think Ohio State's got the best roster and talent in the country this year. Who's going to play quarterback? I don't know.
Well, I'm interested to see how the playoff is going to be taken care of. You know, how much bias will they have towards the super conferences? And can an 11-1 or 10-2 team in the ACC get into the playoff over an 8-4 team in the Big Ten? You know, where does the Big 12 fit into things? You know, what happens with a undefeated, group of 5 conference? There's a lot of questions that I want to see answered, and we won't know until, late in the college football season. But that's the exciting part of having a playoff. And, how many times did you click on bracketology throughout the college basketball season at the different brackets, just to kind of see, all right, my team's on the outside looking in. Oh, Gonzaga, they're a 3 seed. Oh, this week they lost one game and all of a sudden they dropped to a 7. What is this nonsense? Like, that's the fun part about a playoff is seeing all the predictions. And then when it comes time, it's time to fill out those brackets and see who can make a run.
Oh, don't get me started on college hoops. Zags are going to be preseason top 5. This might be one of Mark Few's better teams.
Here we go.
This is Mark Few's most team.
No, this year's team's going to be one of Mark Few's teams where he has the most depth this year.
Yeah, he's deepest game.
He's reaching into Hamilton, New York's finest, and going after Colgate kids now.
Colgate.
Yep. He's going to be a good fit. Good fit. He's going to redshirt, though. He's not going to play.
He's going to be a good fit, and he's redshirting.
I know. How bad is that? He could probably start anywhere else in the country.
I don't think so. Let's calm down the expectations. All right. Just because he did well at Colgate does not mean that all of a sudden he can play anywhere in the country. I'm not saying that that's bad, but if he was transferring to Texas A&M, you wouldn't be like, whoa, Texas A&M just got a kid from Colgate. He could go anywhere in the country. He could go to Duke right now and play. No, he can't.
Duke was a possibility, though.
Yes, it was.
Oh, I can't wait, man. I can't wait for
loaded as usual. But they got to win a championship.
Oh, I know. At some point, Mark Few will get one. He's got to get one. But that is the knock on him, right? The knock was he's got to get past the Sweet 16, and then he's got to get the Elite 8, the Final 4. I think they put up this past year? They've made like 15 or 16 consecutive Sweet 16s, which is nobody else is even close to that stat line.
And yet people rip on him and Gonzaga because they haven't won a championship. Like, going to the Sweet 16, 16 straight years isn't impressive. It doesn't put you in the top echelon of programs and coaches in the country.
No, it's remarkable what he's done at that school. I mean, any school, it's just incredible. And the talent that he's brought over has been remarkable to see. Like, there's so many guys that are playing in the NBA that came from Gonzaga.
Look at Nemhard for the Pacers having a great year.
Yep. Am I still choppy on my?
Yeah, you're cutting in and out a little bit. You're a little choppy.
I'm going to just sit back and listen in.
But I can't wait. I can't wait for football season, even the NFL. I actually watched. I told you guys. I think I was messaging you guys the whole time. When I was down in Carolina, my son wanted to watch. I think we watched the first 2 rounds. I didn't miss a pick, and my son was all into it, which was kind of cool. So this was the first year I followed the draft, the first 2 rounds, where I actually watched it. Usually I don't watch it, and you guys always say, "I can't believe you're a football guy and you don't watch the draft." And it's because I really don't have a dog in a fight. You guys are Bills guys, so you guys are. You want to tune in to see who the Bills get. I could care less who the Giants get, but it was pretty cool to see, the first 2 rounds. And I was even kind of looking at what teams got what and were they good fits and all that. But it was pretty cool.
I trusted Brad Holmes to do what he needed to do, and he did.
Lions did great. Lions had a great draft.
Yeah.
They drafted on need, which was what I was glad to see, especially the first round pick after losing Cam Sutton. I was happy to see they went and got secondary.
Yeah, I think it was a great. The Bills, Nick, the Bills had a good draft.
Yeah, I loved what the Bills did. I know, a lot of people panicked a little bit with all the trades out of the first round, but I mean, love Keon Coleman, love the safety pick. Got a nice depth running back down the line, got some, interior work. I really liked what the Bills did. They filled some holes. They've gone, they had to save money, so they went with, some veteran guys instead of, trading up and getting a superstar and killing the depth that you normally get in those late end, draft picks. I mean, you need those special teamers. They're huge. So, I was really happy with what the Bills did.
Yeah, and the Giants, I was happy with the Giants did, and they got the neighbors kid from LSU. I think it's going to be a good wideout for a lot of years in the NFL. They're still going to rely on Daniel Jones. We'll see if he's healthy this year. I don't think he'll be there after this year, but we'll see. But I liked what they did. It was just cool because my son actually was telling me, he's like, Dad, I think Buffalo's going to go get this guy. I think the Giants need a tight end. Like listening to my son get that into it, was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then with baseball season, I mean, the Yankees are off to a friggin' phenomenal start. I mean, Soto, Judge, Stanton, those guys are pounding the baseball right now. I think they got the best record in baseball.
I think I saw a stat where the three of them combined have hit more home runs than like half the league.
Yeah, they got 44 home runs, I think, between three of them, which is crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to see the Yankees doing well. I mean, we're all Yankee. Well,
my Mariners are in first place. The jammed up AOS, and they're 3 games above in the lead and above 500. So
Statman's still in the Ichiro days. And then how about Nick? How about Pags and I next Friday night? Diamond Dogs, Blue Sox. I'm on the call Friday night.
Are you on the call? And then
Pags, are you there or no?
I am.
Are you doing a game from Utica?
No.
I'm on the stream, man. I'm on the live stream cast they got.
Man, what can I say?
I got to see one of the interns I'm doing it with, though. We had a little meeting here this past week with the 2 intern guys. So I'm anxious to see. I told them, I said, the games that I do, I said, you guys just tell me, I said, you're the intern. Do you want to do play-by-play? You do the play-by-play, and I'll do color. It doesn't matter to me. I think we're going to try to do – I told them to do a 15-minute pregame show because they want to do a pregame show and they want to do a postgame Pags. These 2 young bucks want to do a half-hour pregame show. I say, boys, you're going to run out of stuff to talk about.
Have you seen those guys talk? They just talk.
Yeah, but you got to come with your A game. You got to come with a half hour is a lot for a pregame show.
It is. I agree.
That's a lot.
You might think you have a lot to talk about with those notes on your page, but those don't translate into 30 minutes all the time, though.
No, they don't.
Pegs, I got to get in the booth and call a Diamond Dog game with you.
Come on over.
I can't be doing games with these interns. I got to be doing a game.
I agree.
With you.
I'm very disappointed.
He's a fellow pro to do the games.
That your first broadcast is with the other. That's that.
And it's on TV. It's not even just the audio. I gotta look good. I gotta see if I'm coming like sport jacket.
Oh, you got it.
My notes in front of me. These guys, they're you could tell they're 2 young guys, right? They're 2 young college kids that are excited to do it. And we're talking through it, and we're like, the one guy wants to do a podcast, which I think is great. You can do 100 different podcasts, and he's like, well, maybe we can do like predictions during the game. I'm like, guys, you really don't want to do prediction. We got to be like unbiased professionals here, right? We got to be unbiased. We can't be doing like picks. Like the first game, I'm going to do a pick. I don't know anything about any of these teams, right? But hopefully it's competitive again. I was looking last year. I mean, Pete, you lived it because you've done these games, but yeah, it seems like it should be a pretty fun season. The middle of pack teams last year outside of Amsterdam. Did they win it all last year?
They did.
Yeah. It seems like they're the ones everybody always chases, right?
Yeah. They reload every year. But but it's that one, if you can hang in there and get into the playoffs, I mean, the playoffs is where everything changes because some reach pitch limits or they got to go back to school. And then you get your opportunity in the butt, hopefully.
Pegs, do you guys have any local kids back this year playing for you?
Not as many as we had last year, in the years past. I'm trying to think of the names of the rosters now. I don't have them in front of me, so I can't tell you the names. But we do have, I think, one or two.
Yeah, Utica's got Todd Abraham back this year. They got a kid from Helm
They got
Patton.
Rafael played at Notre Dame.
Yep.
He's a pitcher.
You couldn't bring the Notre Dame guy to the Diamond Dogs?
No, no.
How does the assistant AD not be able to pull that off?
Listen, we're looking for certain talent, man. Pitcher, but I don't know. I'm not.
Listen, Pags is recruiting basketball players still. He's got to find some hoop guys.
My basketball days might. I'm starting to wonder. My basketball days might be over, boys.
Well, we got a nice spot with the K through second grade clinic. We're always looking for volunteer coaches.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what
Nick,
what happens this summer.
Are you promoting Miners Realty on the show today?
This was our showcase.
Yeah.
Sure.
I got to tell Mikey Miner we're promoting them for free on the air today. We got to get some cut for this.
Yeah,
exactly. I like it.
Agreed.
It's nice to have you guys all back on again, man. It's good to have the crew back on. It's been crazy.
Yeah.
I was a nervous wreck. My Facebook got hacked. So I was really nervous about that. And then all of a sudden last night it came back on. So I was pumped about that.
You know you're huge when they hack your Facebook. Hacked if you're nobody.
Yeah, I hate to tell you why they probably hacked me. I can't really say it over the air, but
I don't know.
But I was a nervous wreck. Why? But
you gotta stop going to those websites.
Yeah, I gotta stop clicking open here.
Open.
Still working on the basement though, guys. I don't know if you can see some of the stuff.
Good.
Still working on it. Yeah, I'm still working on it. It's a work in progress. It's nice to be able to just come downstairs. When Statman used to say it's just a hang, it's so nice to just be able to walk downstairs in my house and not have to rush to go back to my office, get set up, and do all that. But I'm excited. I think I'm gonna do a lot more cuts here pretty soon. A lot more takes and stuff throughout the week. A lot more recordings for interviews. It's hard to get people. I was telling Nick before we got on the air. Like everybody this morning, nobody could do it on Sunday because everybody was busy. Coach Brown's at a tournament. I reached out to Gary Heenan to come on and talk NHL. He's out of town. Pags, I reached out to the Comets person. They did reach back out to me. He's out of town. Wasn't going to have time. Yep. So like everybody was out of town.
Travis'
and then,
son's got a tournament. He's coaching his travel team.
So he said that him and I can cut one, do like a recording this week if we wanted to, and then he said I could post it. But it's so much easier to do a lot of the recordings and then just play stuff because again, Sundays you never know what people have going on. People are busy.
Yeah,
but I'm pumped.
I like it.
What'd you guys think of that Scotty Scheffler thing? I talked a little bit about it last week.
That was
Crazy, dude.
it's crazy.
Absolutely
so
nuts.
I don't know what did they say he did? Why did they? What I know he was on his way to the.
Well, they
tournament.
charged him with like a whole bunch of things with assault with a felony.
Wow.
But essentially, he drove around traffic. Officer told him to stop. He supposedly attached himself to the car, but none of the video shows that. So.
Interesting.
I think it was It
was a bad day for the PGA. It was a really bad day. They had unfortunately, they had a bus accident that killed a pedestrian right outside. So it was just a bad week. And then when you see the video, I mean, he's going to get a lot of money. Those charges are going to get dropped. I think I read where the officer that arrested him was fired.
Yeah, he got in trouble.
So, but it was just awful. But, you know, from a golf standpoint, I did watch the final round. And I got to say this is, and I think I referenced this last week, and I said, you know, Pete, for the Yankee fans like us, the day that where Derek Jeter couldn't throw the ball from short to first, or, you know, when Michael Jordan came back and played for Washington and played more with his back to the basket, like, that's not the way I wanted to see Michael Jordan go out. To see Tiger Woods right now struggle that bad because the body's just shutting down on him. I mean, I think he finished almost in last place again. It's almost like he doesn't need the money. I know he wants to play the majors, but these guys are playing a lot of golf. He's just not playing a lot. It pains for me because I've never been a huge Tiger guy. I've just always said golf's better when he's in contention. But to see him labor and struggle the way he has through those first two tournaments, I don't want to see it. Is it time to just say, you know what? He's had a good run. He's got the money. Let your son, if you want to help your son as he gets older, he just can't play anymore.
Yeah, there comes a point where it's time.
I mean, again, years ago, he just hit it further than everybody. He was just bigger. He was stronger. Now these guys that are playing every weekend and he's just playing the selected tournaments. I mean, he doesn't look himself. He limps. He can barely. I mean, he almost lost his leg.
I was going to say that accident kind of did part of it too. I mean, he hasn't had the last 10 or so years haven't been the best for him. So it's good to see him out there every once in a while. But yeah, no, no thanks.
Did you guys see the cut of John Daly with a cigar in his mouth and a beer in his hand on the practice range? If there's anybody that has lived a life, it's John Daly. Doesn't he have cancer though? Didn't I read he's got pancreatic cancer? Or did I not see that right? I thought I read that he has pancreatic cancer or liver cancer.
I think he does.
Let me look.
I mean, he still can hit it a mile.
Did you hear
they
about
love
the
him.
golfer that just
Bladder
died?
cancer.
I did. 30 years old, right?
He withdrew the day before.
Yeah.
Did they say what happened though? Did they say why he withdrew?
Illness.
He's having alcohol issues, but
Who was this?
One of the golfers on tour, 30 years old, passed away this week.
Yeah, it's been a rough week for golf. I mean, with everything that's going on.
And this came out on the heels of Ric Flair getting kicked out of a restaurant called Paisanos down in Tampa. He was cut off and he was told to leave, and he made a huge scene in there and finally was able to they were able to get him out of there. But he posted this huge thing on Facebook about how he put the place over and that like it was Barry Windham and Starrcade 87. It's like they had the nerve to kick him out. And they had some guy release the video, and he's like, I put this place over. I brought in my family, and you're throwing me out. We're not throwing you out, Mr. Flair. We're just saying we can't serve you any more alcohol.
Wasn't Wyndham the one that used to have the tennis racket?
No, that was Jim Cornette.
Oh, Jim Cornette. Yeah.
Little slugger.
Yep. Statman, I was watching. So funny you bring up wrestling and figures. We're coming to the top of the hour, so we just killed time here. But it's funny you bring up wrestling because I was watching old clips of WrestleMania 3 this past week. One of my favorite WrestleManias.
Yep, that was
which
Tito Santana.
Which one was 3? Who was in 3?
Andre the Giant versus Hogan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was Hogan Andre.
That was yeah.
But that to me,
around the world.
Yeah, but you know what my favorite match in WrestleMania 3 was? My favorite match in WrestleMania 3, Statman?
Was for the Intercontinental title.
Macho Man Randy Savage against Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
For the
Championship.
Yep. Yes.
That was my favorite my favorite match in that one. My favorite WrestleMania.
That was the revenge for him jumping off the top rope with the bell and getting crushing his throat.
The larynx.
It crushed larynx. Yep. That was the revenge match for that.
What was Statman? What was the one? Was it WrestleMania 4 when they had the tournament?
I think that was 5.
Was it?
Yeah.
God, that was my favorite tag team too of all time was in there.
Tito Santana and Tom Zink.
Yep, the Can-Am Connection.
Look, the British Bulldogs, man.
Did you guys watch it? Who were your guys? Some of your favorite tag teams?
I could see Pegs as a Papa Shango fan.
Papa
I was
Shango.
British Bulldogs all day long, dude.
Yeah. Nick,
I
how
like
about
Art
you? Did you have
Foundation.
anybody?
Nobody in particular. I
Too
just
young
liked
for those, man.
watching.
Yeah, I was the Can-Am Connection. I used to love B. Brian Blair and Jumpin' Jim Brunzell, the
Killer
Rougeau
Bees.
brothers. Or the Killer Bees. I used to like Jacques and Raymond, the Rougeau brothers.
Mom,
Yeah.
The Mounties.
The Mounties.
the county. Oh man.
Oh,
Nick,
good
what are you
Lord.
doing? Googling wrestlers here?
I'm trying to figure out which one was the tournament.
I think it was WrestleMania 4. Statman said 5. I think the tournament was 4. You know what was another
Yes,
good match?
It was WrestleMania 4.
Yeah, Statman, you know what was another good match? Remember
that?
Hercules against Billy Jack Haynes?
Oh, yeah. Hercules Hernandez. Yep.
When he split Billy Jack Haynes open with the chain when he hit him in the head?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, that was one of
watching.
the rare times McMahon had allowed blood back in those days.
Yeah. Statman, you see the mug?
Fats. Oh, yeah, man. Heck
I had to bring the mug out. Maybe Fats will being that I'm promoting them, maybe they'll cut me a gig here too.
What if I don't even know if it's still open anymore. It was open when I took a visit out there back in 12, but I don't know if it's still open now.
PatMoore.com.
Only want to be with you.
All right, boys. I think I got to go check and see if my pool's either no water in it or if it blew up. I think Aaron's outside my house, so I got to go check and see what's going on out there. But good to have you guys all back on today and
Yes,
be
good.
able to talk some sports. We'll try to get back in the groove. Pete, if you're at the game next Friday night, I'll be there. But I got to come over with you, man. I got to do games for the Diamond Dogs.
That would get you on.
Pegs, are you calling the final games or the semis for
I'm
high
calling
school?
the championships on Monday, and I'm calling the one of the girl. I think the big softball Notre Dame game.
Who's
Well,
doing it
Rain-
with you? Just you?
Rain is supposed to be. I'm hearing. I don't know. The guy told me that they might have another guy. I plan on doing it solo, but I don't know.
How you getting on the air? How you doing it?
I was going through the NFHS network.
So what do you got to do? Just sign into it from the game?
There's a guy who does it all. I just talk.
Oh, that's good. That's always the
Yeah.
best setup when you just got to
Yeah,
sit down and talk.
I can't-
That's all.
I can't believe you didn't say, "Hey, let me bring 3 other guys with me to call the games." That's kind of messed up.
Yeah, you know what? Trying to make a living here.
I'll be working on an hour-long pregame show all week, so I got to get my.
I think we'll be up to 2 hours by game time.
I'm going to have a 5-subject notebook for the opening game.
Are you guys behind a paywall for the Blues? Behind a paywall for Mohawk Valley, which I don't think is a great idea, but
Yeah, I guess you got to pay for like the streaming services for the season to watch these games and listen to them.
yeah, I don't like that idea at all.
The only thing I wonder about that, Pete, is I
I'm
just
not
don't
sure,
think
though.
are there enough people
Yep.
that want to pay to follow those games, throughout the year? I don't know. I don't know if there's a market for it. I just don't know.
Well, I think like having always ended up getting a lot more people that wouldn't normally tune in. I think now with how often are they going to pay? Because it's per game. It's a fee per game.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. I might be talking to myself all year long if no one pays.
Yeah, no, I hear you. We'll have to see how this thing works out. But all right, guys, I got to jump. I got to get outside, see what's going on in my yard. But good to talk to you guys. Keep in touch the weekend and be safe.
Sounds good. Enjoy the
Yeah,
weekend.
happy Memorial Day, everyone.
All right, guys, you too. That was great to have the guys back on and be able to talk some sports again with them. keep in touch throughout the week. I'll let everybody know. We do some recordings, some different audio stuff with some coaches this coming week, at least over the next 2 weeks. And I'll be live Friday night from Donovan Stadium doing the Blue Sox and Diamond Dogs game. So I'll be excited for that as well. So on behalf of the entire crew, Coach Pags, Coach Medicis, the stat man, we'll catch you again next Sunday right here on the Mohawk Valley Sports Watch.